What's up, guys? It's Brute Force Brigade here with another Idle Heroes tips and tricks. I wanted to go ahead and jump into my Abyss, the 3 best Abyss heroes. So let's go ahead and hop into this. I am not quite as familiar with the Abyss heroes as I am with some of the others, but let's go ahead and hop into this. I want to talk about a hero. I don't have too much data on them because when they came out, they didn't really make a huge splash, but just kind of looking at their abilities, I think they're actually meant to be probably the best Abyss hero out there. It's just everybody hasn't really given him a chance, but just reading his abilities, he kind of looks like he's in the same place as Azmodel, like an Abyss version of Azmodel. Not nearly as good. I'm not saying he's as good as Azmodel, but I think that's kind of what they had in mind when they came out with this character. His name is Scurry, or Scurry. I've heard all kinds of different pronunciations, so you guys just let me butcher that. He's a mage, so he's a little on the slow side. He's pretty on par with other mages, stat-wise. All the solid heroes, their stats are all pretty similar. So, but you guys feel free to compare him to other mages. Let's go ahead and hop into his abilities real quick. This is worded super bad, and I think that's one reason why people haven't given him too much of a chance, because it's not really clear exactly what he does. But comparing him to Azmodel, it seems like that's kind of what they were going for, was a not quite as good version of Azmodel to put in a faction that didn't have a lot of great heroes. So let's look at this real quick. Active skill deals 114% of attack damage against all enemies and tags the targets with a lightning mark. At the same time, there has a 30% chance to get the extra lightning mark. See, that's just bad English. Lightning mark will increase the active skill damage of Scurry that taken by the target by 45%. So, not the best job translating there. But it seems like these lightning marks just increase his active skill, and then you have an extra chance to get another lightning mark, the 30% there. So it looks like every time that he attacks with his active skill, he puts a lightning mark on someone, and then he has a 30% chance to put an extra lightning mark. I'm guessing on someone else. Maybe it stacks there. Like I said, the wording is horrible on this, so it's really hard to say. And then it does that extra skill damage there at the end by 45%. So I think it's basically like putting crit markers on things like Azmodel does. So and it lasts for 3 rounds, so that's not too bad. His second ability is just 30% extra dodge and 35% HP and 20% crit. So that crit's always great, and that's just going to go up with those lightning markers doing bonus damage. If you can get a crit off on all that bonus damage, that's fantastic. 30% dodge is damn good, especially start throwing that skill tech tree in there. Actually, I'm not 100% if mages have dodge. I think with the update they do. So let's go ahead and look at his third ability. Basic attack tags the target with a lightning mark. So there's another one of those. Lightning marks will increase the active skill damage of Scurry that has taken by the target by 45%. Once again, that wording there. And so that's just basically another way of getting more tags. So every single time that he uses a basic attack now, he marks someone. So that's just doing extra damage to all of those heroes. And I'm guessing it probably lasts for 3 rounds, just like in the first skill. And they just didn't put it in here. Maybe it only lasts for 1 round. But then it would just go away by the next round. So I don't think it works that way. I think it's the same. And the lightning marks just all last for 3 rounds, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go ahead and look at his fourth ability here. Tags the target with a lightning mark when taking damage. Lightning marks will increase the active skill damage of Scurry that has taken by the target by 45% and add the crit damage by 15% for 3 rounds. So even whenever he's getting attacked by someone, he adds those little lightning markers. And so I think he just tag and bags everything. As soon as he attacks them in any way or they attack him in any way, he gets to do bonus damage to the heroes and just picks them off that way. A lot like Asmal does with his crits there. So I personally think that Scurry just needs to be given a chance as a hero. I think he's probably the best in the Abyss faction. The only thing that I could see that would be holding him up is maybe his speed, in that he might not be fast enough to get enough crit markers on. But since it's everyone who hits him as well, I don't know if that's necessarily as big of a deal as it would be with some other heroes. Since he actually gets hit and puts attack on someone. So let's go ahead and look at the second slot here, and this is probably where people are going to differ with me a little bit, in that I personally think that Breya is the second slot holder, because Margaret may have been before the 10 stars came out, but I think Breya has got her beat now. So let's just go ahead and look at his abilities, and you guys can decide for yourself. You can leave it in the comments to let me know if you think that Breya is better than Margaret. So he's pretty on par for a warrior. He's got a lot of HP, a lot of armor, decent speed, decent attack. But let's go ahead and look at his abilities here. Deals 168% of attack damage against the frontline enemies, and if having more health, which he has more health than pretty much everyone. I think there might be Dentalion might have more health. And if having more health than the being attacked foe, English, deals extra 15% of the foe's maximum health damage as damage. Increased attack by 10% and armor break by 10% cannot be dodged. So it's weird that they threw that increased attack by 10% and armor break by 10% in there. It seems like a weird place to put that. I'm guessing it just means for only against the person that they're attacking there. So damage against frontline. Let's see. So whoever he's hitting, he does a 15% of their maximum health. So if they have a lot of health but less health than to him, he's going to do 15% of their health as damage. So that's really great, especially when you're taking on, other tanks, because that's going to do a buttload of damage to them. That's kind of like the bigger they are, the harder they fall kind of thing. So let's go ahead and look at his second ability here. Skill attack and basic attack cannot be dodged. Has a 100% chance to steal the target's 25% armor for 3 rounds. English. So that's great. He has a 100% chance to steal a target's armor. So not only is he taking armor away from the enemy, but he's adding it to himself. So that's fantastic. Once again, great for attacking the tanks, or even offhand tanks, because I think it says... No, it just says, it doesn't specify where it's front or back. So, that's great. That's just going to boost him up more and make him an even better tank. And he's actually used quite a bit as an offhand tank just because he lasts longer. And a lot of his abilities have to do with him making it to round 5 or 6. Let's go and look at his next one. Passive skill, HP 40%, attack 35%, and armor at 40%. So that's fantastic. 40s. And 35s, anything over 30 is great for adding bonuses. And 40% HP, 40% armor, that's just going to make him like a huge wall. I think that's already added in here if I'm not mistaken. But that's why no one has more HP than him. He's got that 40% extra HP, 40% extra armor, so that's fantastic. His fourth ability here is at round 6. Increase crit by 60% and crit damage by 90%. So, that's where he really goes off, and that's where I'm saying people use him as an offhand tank to make him last until round 6, because getting that off completely changes the way that he works. He becomes a beast at that point, straight DPS. And he's still going to be stealing armor and still going to be wrecking people with lower health than him. So, personally, he's my number 2 pick. I think that he's a great hero. If he's not number 1, like I said, not knowing enough about Scurry, I would, I just reading his abilities, I think he's probably the best, but an argument could definitely be made for Breya. So this next one was kind of hard for me because personally, you can see I have a 10-star Queen there. I'm a huge Queen fan. I think Queen is a fantastic hero. But I think that judging from before the 10 stars came out, that Margaret was so highly utilized by Meh and a few other of the top tier players. She's probably a little bit better. I haven't seen Queen anywhere. I have seen a few Margarets, and I think her poison is still pretty damn good. But an argument could definitely be made for Queen being the third best hero for sure. But let's go ahead and look at Margaret. Her stats are pretty on par with a mage. We saw that with Scurry. So let's go ahead and dive right on. She's a little bit squishy, but you're going to see that doesn't really matter. Her dying is actually a really great thing. That's why she was utilized as a tank, because dying helps her case quite a bit. Deals 72% of attack damage against all enemies and poison them. Dealing 102% of attack extra damage each round for 3 rounds. So that dealing 72% of attack damage against all enemies and poisoning them is going to be really important because she just stacks damage on poisoned enemies. I really wish I had one of her to run with Walter and my Melassa. But dealing 102% of attack as extra damage for 3 rounds, I'm guessing that is going towards the poison. So, that's not too bad at all. Each attack has a 60% chance to poison the target, dealing 80% of attack damage for each round for 2 rounds. So each attack having an 80% chance to poison the target is great. That's not guaranteed, but it's damn near guaranteed. And I want to say that's probably a little bit better than Walter's chance to poison. So that's great. And the 80% of attack as damage for 2 rounds is also great because, like I said, she has pretty decent attack, and that's just extra free damage. After death, poison all enemies, dealing 105% of attack damage each round for 3 rounds. So this is where she really takes off, is when she's dead. Because whatever her attack is with gems and such, you're going to be doing 105% of that attack as damage for 3 rounds after she's gone. So she's still going to be taking chunks. In fact, a good way to look at it is in the Tower of Oblivion. Fighting those 6 Margarets is just brutal because you'll be killing them like they're nothing, and your characters just start dropping like flies out of nowhere. Alright, let's look at her third ability here. When taking damage, has a 60% chance to poison the target, dealing 72% of the attack damage for 3 rounds. So that's just more poison damage. The only thing about that is she's basically got like barbed skin, and that when someone hits her, she poisons them. So that's great. That's kind of like Scurry's ability there, where even though he gets hit, he puts a lightning marker on them. And so this is just bonus damage. That's pretty much what she's used for. She's there until she's not, and she just keeps killing things whether she's there or not. Chipping away at that health, even though she's not actually attacking, still taking them down a peg or 2.